Did you know that there are two distinct types of Labrador? The American or working lab that was originally bred as a hunting companion, and the English lab, which was originally bred from show lines. These two types of Labrador have quite different appearances and possibly even fairly different personalities. But is one better than the other, and are they really that different? The Labrador Retriever became split into two different types several decades ago now, and the differences affect both the dog's appearance and structure and their temperament. The differences in temperament are particularly relevant when you're considering buying a Labrador as a family pet, and I'll chat about those in some detail today. But let's look at the looks first. American Labs tend to be taller, more slender, and generally racier in appearance than English Labs. English type Labs are often heavier than their field-bred cousins and shorter in the leg. The English Lab is likely to have a heavier, wider head, sometimes referred to as blocky. Some are said to lack agility, although I've known some pretty heavyweight show type labs that are surprisingly good at jumping. Some would argue that the blockiness of the English Lab's head has been taken too far, and others would argue that the narrower face of the American Labrador is not really in keeping with the breed standard. The deep chest and shorter legs of the show lab is another source of contention, with some breed enthusiasts saying again that it's been taken too far. But this is partly just what we're used to, and I'd be the first to admit that some American Labs really do look a bit more greyhound in shape than Labrador Retriever. Another difference lies in the tail. The traditional otter tail of the Labrador is thick at the base and tapers to the tip, and in many working Labradors the tail's quite whippy and thin, and you couldn't really describe it as an otter tail. So which is the best shape? Well, if you're raising a puppy to be a hunting companion, those physical differences are not going to be as much of an issue as you might think. Most English Labradors are physically capable of running and jumping efficiently. If not allowed to become overweight, they have good stamina and are capable of working all day and are efficient, powerful swimmers. So why get a working Labrador? Well, physically you need an American Lab if you want to succeed in field trials, especially in the USA, where they've evolved into long distance retrieving contests, where the most streamlined build and sheer speed of the dog will give you an edge. There are other reasons for choosing an American Lab if you tend to compete too, but those are more concerned with the temperament. In broader terms, Labradors bred from show lines as pets have a fairly robust temperament. They tend to be outgoing and friendly, and perhaps a little over-friendly when young. American or working type Labs may be less into meeting and greeting the whole world and a little more focused on their family and handler in particular. But there are further differences when it comes to regions too. In the UK, for example, where competitive training methods have traditionally avoided much force, working retrievers have increasingly been bred to be sensitive, and the more sensitive your dog is, the less force is needed in training. On the other side of the coin, the very sensitive dog is likely to give up when faced with challenges, so there is a balance to be had there. In the UK, we've erred on the side of sensitivity, and it's important because when sensitivity goes too far, that results in reactivity. I am seeing more problems with reactive dogs from working lines now than I have in the past, and I'll explain why that's important in a moment. In the USA, long-distance retrieves can be very complex and challenging. A dog may have to enter and exit water several times en route to a retrieve. Dogs are taught to push on in the face of pain from an early age, and a dog with too much sensitivity just wouldn't make the grade. Perhaps that's the reason I see less reports of extremes of sensitivity in American Labs born in America. And if you're a resident in the USA, the oversensitivity issue might not be a problem for you. There are also differences in energy and excitability. All Labs are boisterous when young, but show Labradors tend to be more chilled out as they mature, while some of their field-bred cousins remain high-energy dogs throughout their lives. These generalisations don't always apply to your dog though. So is one a better temperament? I used to very much promote working Labradors to all families, but recently I do hear more and more reports of dogs from working lines being a little reactive. I'm hearing this both from pet owners that are seeking help and from trainers that are being asked for help. So if you want a Labrador from working lines, either because you like the look of them or want a hunting companion, then you need to look very carefully at both the parents. Make sure they are confident, trusting dogs that are friendly and comfortable meeting you for the first time. There's also the issue of trainability. The American Labrador has a quick mind and a quick body and lives to please. Because of this and their more sensitive nature, the working strain can be potentially more easily trained to an advanced level. It's worth repeating that the extremes of sensitivity can obviously lead to nervousness, and reactivity can be a problem there. Reactive dogs make very challenging living pets, and a robust confidence with no trace of shyness is an important characteristic to look in the parents of your puppy. Outdoors in the open, American Labs have a strong hunting instinct and may be more likely to pursue the local wildlife if not supervised and well trained. This can be a real problem for those living in rural areas. Some, but not most, American Labs will also have so much drive that an experienced owner will struggle to gain control on daily walks together, especially if they don't pay attention to their dog. Working bred Labs respond best to lots of human contact, a structured training program, and a more managed approach to exercise outdoors. On the other hand, as juveniles, some English Labs can be over-friendly and distractible, which can be challenging, especially if you exercise your dog in busy parks. But it's generally an easier issue to solve than one to do with pursuing the wildlife. One final thought: in the UK, working Labs are less likely to be prone to whining than show Labs, simply because noise is a disqualifying fault in field trials, and it's been pretty much bred out of the working lines. As you can see, there's a lot to consider, and of course there are broad generalizations here. All dogs are individuals, and the very best guide to how your dog will turn out is to meet and get to know both of their parents. So what should you do if you're choosing between English and American Labradors? Well, if you want a Labrador as a pet for long walks, fun with the kids, and an all-round family dog, then an English Lab, that is to say from show lines, is a perfectly good choice. That's not to say you should rule out working Labs, but perhaps, especially if you're in the UK, you should be insistent on meeting both parents if you're buying from working lines. If you're intending to compete with your dog, especially if you're looking for one for field trials in the USA or Europe, you do need a dog from working lines. An American Lab will have the speed, agility and trainability that will give you the chance of success. The same applies to dog agility. American Labs have good focus, tend to be attentive to their handler and responsive to training, and have the flexibility and speed to succeed in a competitive sport. If you simply want to train your family dog as a hunting companion, you might want to look for an American Lab, but don't rule out an English Lab. Many of them make perfectly good hunting companions, and most still have a very decent retrieving instinct too. The truth is that many English Labs will do a passable job of fetching a bird for you, and many American Labs will do a great job of being a family pet. But what do you think? Let me know your preference. Is it for the show line or the working line? Let's have a chat in the comments section.